So at Zipline, we deliver medical supplies with drone on demand, and we do it at national scale on 2 continents.
Our mission here at Zipline is to create an instant logistics network that serves all people around the world equally.
We carry life-saving medicines and life-saving supplies that have to be delivered on time within the exact minute.
So an order starts with a patient or a doctor sending us their order. We pack that order in about 2 minutes into a box the size of a cake box. That cake box has a little paper parachute on it. That goes into our zip, which is what we call our drones. That zip goes onto the launcher where it's launched. Now it's flying automatically out to the delivery site where it'll drop the package from the air. So that little paper parachute inflates and the package floats to the ground. And zip flies back, lands, and gets the next package.
By traditional methods of delivery, the deliveries can take, several hours, but with our drone technology, they can take minutes.
Zipline is the largest autonomous system in the world, and we fly over people all day, every day. We fly over fields, but mostly we fly over cities. And when you're doing that and you're flying over people, you have to do it responsibly, right? This needs to be a massive net win for these communities. It can't be a risk. And on top of that, we're delivering medical supplies. Things like blood to a patient in an operating room. If you have a quality problem and that plane has a mission failure and turns around, it sounds like, oh, no big deal. But really, it's a big deal. That blood did not get delivered when it could have been.
The drone system is the ground equipment in the aircraft. The aircraft is the actual product that flies. The ground equipment is to support what is flying. On the ground equipment side, it's a mini airport, and there are close to 5,000 components that make that airport work. And on the aircraft side, there are close to 1,000 components that make it fly.
We deal with suppliers around the world. We have suppliers in China, in Europe, in the US, and each one has a different language or method of producing those inspection results.
You could have data written on paper, and that is pretty common even today. You could have data in an Excel format, and then there is something like a database for 1factory.
Quality control at Zipline before 1factory was very, very manual. It was slow. It was inefficient. When you would have a problem, it took a long time just to even get your hands on all the paper.
It was a lot of emails, a lot of back and forth, a lot of phone calls, and it got messy. And that's where 1factory is fantastic, is that we're able to provide our supplier a portal to go off of our control plans and know that we're aligned with how they're inspecting parts, so we know what we're getting ahead of time.
We start with providing the CAD and the data to the vendor. The vendor uses that information to create an inspection plan at their site. Once the inspection plans are created and approved, they go ahead and measure the parts as per the inspection plans. Once the measurements are complete, we use the FAI process and the inspection process wherein that data is transmitted to us. We review it, we provide feedback, and then we approve the shipment to be shipped to us. Once it arrives here, we are able to inspect it and verify whether the inspection was correct or not. So the ability to seamlessly transact between the vendor data and our data is really helpful.
The magic of 1factory is it's actually practical and easy for our vendors to use it and for us to use it in a way that's just seamless. And while that's been the promise of software like this for decades, 1factory actually delivers on that promise.
We no longer use paper travelers. We no longer use Excel sheets. All our inspections are done on 1factory itself.
It covers everything from inspections. It can give me CPK data. It can give me supplier data. I can control all of my NCRs, CAPAs, and audits through it. It's like the one-stop shop for QMS systems.
It's a cloud-based service. It is available in all geographies. And for us, that gives us the advantage to scale in terms of the number of suppliers and users that we need to use and the number of parts that we manage.
As we onboarded our suppliers with 1factory, I think we did maybe 1-hour training sessions where we showed them how to create an inspection plan. We walked them through the different screens in 1factory. And then by the next session we had, maybe another half-hour session, they were able to create inspection plans on their own with very little input from us.
The ability to have the software available in local languages is extremely handy because we want the software to be used by the inspector in their local language. That's the source of truth.
1factory is actually a really simple software. It's very user-friendly. I mean, I'm training a person right now to use it, and they're grasping it very quickly.
Our inspectors are happy using 1factory on a tablet. Our CMM inspectors are also happy because they can connect and directly review the results. And on our management side, we are more happy to use this product because we get access to quick data, we can verify, and then procuring data whenever there is required, we could just do it with 2 clicks, which wasn't the case for a long time.
Having a tool that's really practical for suppliers and that they actually enjoy using too means that it's not a challenge. They don't want to use it to like the absolute bare minimum that they can get away with. They actually see value from themselves, and working with suppliers, we can now anticipate things right at the moment of the problem, fix them, which means, way less waste. And of course, for a lot of our vendors, that means they're making more money with us because, they don't have yield problems and things like that. And that's a really big deal for them. So it's a huge win-win. The cost to the company of poorly managed quality is incredibly high. And most people just focus on there's some parts I have to throw away or some schedule delay. That's not the real cost of quality problems. It's one of the costs, and it's a very direct cost, but the real cost, the bigger cost to a startup or to any company is really, I should say especially to a startup, because a startup you are learning, you're growing, you're adapting to what's going on with your customers, your product, it's actively in development. And if you are doing all of that on top of a shaky foundation of your product having inconsistent quality, it adds a layer of friction to everybody's work in the organization, every engineer's work. That slows you down in ways that's very hard to measure. And sort of said in a more positive way, when the hardware part of your world is rock solid, it means that your team can be focused on what your customers care about, as opposed to doing that on the shifting sands of hardware that's inconsistent in terms of its quality and performance. 1factory has made some really smart decisions and created this huge amount of value for users like us. From the beginning of 1factory, the mindset of saying, hey, we're not going to do sort of custom development. We're not going to become the SAP of the world where we make most of our money doing bespoke stuff for our customers. Instead, we're going to focus on making one great product that all of our customers use. Has really enabled 1factory to focus on things like intuitive design, great customer support. I see it as the best SaaS software that Zipline uses.